will begin in New York, where President Bola Tinubu has met with the presidents of South Africa and the Union of Comoros Island on the sideline of the ongoing 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Nigeria's president is seeking to use these meetings to seek more investments and promote mutual cooperation between Nigeria and the global community. TVC News State House correspondent Femi Akonde has details.
A busy day for President Bola Tinubu on the sideline of the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly. He has held bilateral talks with the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa. Nigeria and South Africa are the two biggest economic giants on the continent. The main topic of discussion between the two leaders is how to increase investment among African countries. The president's intention to stake Nigeria's interest in the international community is also backed by governors who are on his entourage.
And it would be nice for us to see him join his other colleagues worldwide to share his vision, to put a clear template of what he hopes to achieve for the country, even in a gathering like this. So it will be his own show. Coincidentally, I was also here last year as the final one for the former president. So outside of that, it's also for Lagos to be able to position itself for all of the engagement and opportunities that an international assembly like this offers.
The meeting and engaging is for other world leaders to support Mr. President in order to deliver on the needs of the Nigerian people. But specifically for Gombe, I'll be able to meet with the UNICEF, UNFPA, and other agencies of the United Nations in order to make sure that they give the support required so that we can uplift the lives and livelihoods of our people.
Diplomatic relations between the two countries dates back to the period Nigeria achieved independence from Britain, and it was formalized in 1994. The volume of trade between Nigeria and South Africa has hit $2.9 billion, with expectations of it rising further with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. South Africa is currently among the top 10% of investors in Nigeria globally, and Nigeria is South Africa's 10th biggest export market in Africa. Another bilateral meeting was held between Nigeria and the Union of Comoros Island. The two countries have maintained friendly diplomatic relations established in 2010. These meetings are among the first of many bilateral engagements President Tinubu will hold in New York. But the overall success will be measured by what kind of investments are attracted to Nigeria and its impact on the economy. Femi Akonde, TVC News, New York.
CEO Leads Network Africa, Chukwuma Okenwa, joins me now for more on this development. South Africa and Comoros Island are the latest consultation that Mr. President is having on the sideline of his international meetings. Precisely what are the economic gains of this form of collaboration?
Like the presidential spokesman clearly spells it out, that of course will be to deepen mutual collaborations and cooperation between the two nations, and most importantly for us as a country, to attract more investment. We know that globally no country is an island, no country is self-sufficient. Even when you are good in technology, you can make arms. You may discover that maybe like a nation that may not be at par with your nation might just be where you just have the uranium or like some of the mineral resources to be able to power whatever project that you have as a nation. So we want to see how Nigeria can be like a far more choice destination for so many of these nations. Yes, according to reports, there is already an existing bilateral relationship with Africa, with South Africa. But I think we can do more. And impressively, Mr. President is actually playing his role as the chief diplomat of the nation, representing, communicating, negotiating, and we are hopeful that this will attract more virtues into the country.
Precisely what do you think Nigeria should be doing differently now to take full advantage of these potential investments?
Two things. First will be Mr. President heightening his efforts to sustain security gains within the country, because we know that peace and development promotes foreign direct investment. And most importantly, when we have our ambassadors fully operationalized in different nations, these nations that the president has had the opportunity of meeting other chief diplomats like him, at the level of the nations, our high commissions and embassies should be able to sustain these conversations and keep it ongoing so that we can fully leverage on the gains and the benefits.
These gains you're talking about for Nigerians who are quite optimistic, is it in the short, medium, or long term?
Of course, long term. Most of this is going to be in the long term, but of course, there are also possibility of midterms because we know that when these leaders agree, some of it also may still have to be subject to respective nations, National Assembly to look at it, maybe come up with a legal framework, for such kind of relationship. So most of this, I wouldn't want to see it as a sprint, but more or less like a marathon race and a progressive relationship.
Chukwuma Okenwa, CEO, Leads Network Africa. Thank you for talking to us on the news this hour.